believe Palestinians deserve freedom?
I'm telling you, because if he touches me, I'll put him on the floor. You come near me, I'll put you lay down on the floor. I'll lay you sleep. I'll put you 6 feet deep. I'll put you 6 feet deep.
Oh my God! Did you just hear that? I mean, literally, would you say that to a cop? Would you say that to a cop? This continues for like another 6 minutes or so. It's horrifying. Let's give all the credit due for this video to Never Again Live Podcast at gmail.com on X for this video. This occurred in Toronto, I believe, over the weekend. Hamas supporters threatened to kill shoppers at Toronto Eaton Centre. Not only did they maybe do that for shoppers, that guy's talking to a cop. He's talking to a cop, threatening to kill the cop. And the cops do nothing. The cops do nothing right in a shopping plaza in Toronto. Elon Musk saw this because libs of TikTok picked it up. Libs of TikTok credited the wrong creator in this situation, but at least he tried to credit somebody, I guess, rather than some people out there. You know, a lot of these leading influencers, they'll just grab a video and pass it off as their own. At least libs of TikTok attempted to create the credit the correct creator, but nonetheless, Elon Musk saw it and he responded exclamation point, like, what the, he could not believe what just happened there. I mean, that goes on for another like 6 minutes. It is a long video of this guy and others circulating around the cops and being incredibly aggressive. Now, there are, to be fair, there's like one or two guys. I mean, there he is. He's staring down the cops again. He's going after the cops now. There's one or two other guys that are that seem to be the voice of reason, especially one older gentleman. And I don't know if you can tell this, but they're outside of Zara, which is a store that I would not shop at only because they don't have anything that I want. But they're outside of Zara. And recently, Zara has been involved in this advertising controversy relative to a jacket that they promoted. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I think the reason why they're protesting outside of Zara is because Zara has gotten some significant negative attention from the Palestinian community, and Palestinians are not very happy. So that's why they're probably outside of Zara here for this protest. But you can see in the background, they've got bullhorns. This is not something that you can like just allow at a shopping center, and especially that type of speech. Now, we know in the United States, to threaten imminent harm is not allowed under the First Amendment. There are some minor and important limitations to the First Amendment, and you cannot threaten imminent harm under the First Amendment. And I'm sure in Canada, where they have less human rights or less civil rights, you can't do that either. This scruffle just continues. A lot of credit here to the cops for having the restraint, I would say. I think I want to give them credit, at least the individual officers, because this could have got ugly real fast. And I don't know if you can tell, but they seem to be outnumbered, right? There's some other cops in the background, but the cops, they don't seem to be in the right configuration. Not that I'm an expert. And they also just seem, from a numbers point of view, they seem outnumbered. And they're protesters here are trying to get the cops. Understand the strategy. The strategy is to get the cops to react, right? The strategy is to get the cops to react, to get the cops to do something that makes the cops look bad, to make the Palestinian activists look like they're victims. That's the strategy, and all credit to the cops. They didn't fall for that. But, I mean, there is at some point where you've got to take action, and it seems like that point was crossed in this particular incident in Toronto over the weekend. It's just absolutely horrific. And again, all credit to Never Again Live Podcast at gmail.com on the video there. And again, this goes on. There's different versions of it. This one's 3 minutes. The other one is 6+ minutes. I encourage you to catch that on Twitter to catch the whole thing. Now, also in Canada over the weekend, we have another situation with a shopping center. This one in Toronto. Here. Let's bring this up on the big screen here. Ontario, Ottawa, excuse me. This is in Ottawa. And what you're able to see here, what you're able to witness here is at the mall, at the Bayshore Mall in Ottawa, a bunch of kids have gone to go see Santa. This should be a joyous family occasion. Gonna sit on Santa's knee and ask for a dolly or a train set or whatever you're gonna ask for as a little kid. And no, it's not going to be an enjoyable visit. In fact, literally, you can hear children screaming in the background of this video because they're terrified of the protesters. This is an awful, awful way to make your point in a civilized society. Shame on Canada.
All your shopping mobs are jumping! While your shopping mobs are dropping!
This is actually a perfect example of what we see here in Massachusetts, is that the people that are actually protesting, are a lot of the people that are protesting out there are white liberals, right? They're white liberals. They're glommed onto this because they understand that it advances their larger political socialist agenda, right? And you can see that in this particular situation. In the first video from Toronto, those people actually looked like they were of Palestinian or Arab descent. These people here that are protesting seem to be completely white, right? They're libtards. Oh my God! Those are the kids who went to go see Santa. They're screaming in the background. This is just awful, awful. We've had some incidences here in Boston where, like, at the Christmas tree lighting here in Boston, same type of thing that happened. What is going on? I mean, it's just absolutely horrific. Meanwhile, in Europe, this is video out of London. This guy here, and let's quote the tweet here. Just watch for a second. With the NASA sweatshirt, obviously a rocket scientist. Wall Street Silver, Europe. They're not coming to assimilate into your culture. They are not coming to be good little workers in your economies. They are coming to conquer you. From Radio Genoa, Muslim cultural enricher tears down cross on London church. They hate us. That's exactly right. This is so hard to kind of understand the hate that both the Arab world, but most importantly, I think locally, at least here in most of the United States, the hate that the socialists / Democrats have for our country and how much they actually want to change, fundamentally change. When Obama said we want to fundamentally change the United States, he wasn't joking. And it's really hard to get your mind around the scope of how much they actually want to change society. Every day they show us with, you can just go watch anything that's posted by Bill Malhusian or the guy, what's his name? Ben Bergquam. I'm going to get his name wrong. On Twitter about the invasion. You just watch anything from that and you're like, it is unspeakable. And for normal everyday people just trying to pay their bills and have a normal life, it's really hard to wrap your head around it. And I'm reminded by that story that Tucker Carlson told about a month or two ago about how this guy in the Russian Revolution, he was an officer and he came back from the front lines and he was to St. Petersburg. And he found that people were going to the movies and acting just normal, and that even people in the Tsar's court were wearing the support star of the revolutionaries. And then when the revolutionaries came to St. Petersburg, of course, they they did away with everyone in the czar's family. And yeah, like we are, as Rush Limbaugh I think is famous for saying, I know Jerry Williams, a talk show host in Massachusetts here, used to say, we're too busy entertaining ourselves to death, right? We're too busy entertaining ourselves to notice. We have to start to notice what's going on. Dave Rubin, all credit to him, draws an important connection here. Justin Trudeau froze the bank accounts of peaceful truckers. Meanwhile, jihadists dressed like Cobra soldiers can wander around threatening to murder other Canadians. And in this particular case, again, it's police officers that they're threatening to measure. Oh, here's a perfect example of Andy No. Andy No, he's done some good things and didn't deserve to get assaulted like he did. But here he is here stealing the video, right? Grifter. Can't you give the proper credit to the person who made the video, Andy? No, I hate when people do that. And anyways, that's a really good connection, David Rubin, because you got to ask, are these protesters here going to lose access to their bank accounts? Are these protesters going to lose access to their bank accounts? And I was just so happened to be watching a video from Robert Kennedy. And here he is here just the other day talking about the importance of the trucker protest and kind of stitching this all together. Now, just to kind of backdrop, you might remember that the trucker protest was so important in the United States. It was huge in Canada, yes, but it really sent a message to the U.S. leaders that the gig was up, right? And once that trucker protest thing just kind of got out of control from the Canadian point of view, that's when the tide changed here in the United States. So all credit to the Canadian truckers who made that happen. They made changes in Canada, but the ripple of that protest totally affected the trajectory of what happened here in the U.S. And we started to move back to freedom because of the Canadian protest. All credit to you. Thank you so much. Robert Kennedy is here in this video putting the pieces together of what this means for the next big protest and how Canadians learned, unfortunately, how authoritarians learned how to control the truckers and what they're up to next. Listen to what Robert Kennedy says here.
CBDCs came with during the truckers' protest in Canada. It was a peaceful protest. People who were protesting, asking for the rights that we take for granted in this country: freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, and petition. And they were the government agencies went out, took pictures of their license plates, and used other news stories, etc., to get the names of these truckers. Peaceful protest, and then shut down their bank accounts, shut down their credit cards so they wouldn't work. They couldn't pay their alimony. They couldn't feed their children. They couldn't pay their mortgages. And for many of them, it took them many, many weeks to reconnect to their money supply. And when I watched that,
is that going to happen to any of those people that protested at the mall earlier in this video? No, it's not going to happen to any of those people. Because why? Because Justin supports what those people said. Justin supports what those people said. He didn't support the truckers. He's going to punish the truckers, but he's not going to punish any of those people at the mall that you saw earlier in this video.
What happened? I recognize that freedom of currency is as important as freedom of speech, because
in fact, freedom of currency is freedom of speech.
If the government can starve you to death, none of these truckers were charged with a crime. They certainly weren't convicted. They were simply disobeyed. They were simply dissenting from government policies that they had a right to dissent from. And the government didn't like that. And so it was ready to literally starve them to death. If the government can do that to you, we are living in feudal serfdom.
Thank you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for that observation. I mean, if the government can starve you through the digital currency, which is basically a type of social control, it's what they did to the truckers supersized, right? It's a supersized version of what they did to the truckers. If they can do that, then again, we become, as my favorite economist, Peter St. Onge would say, we're basically become a frog in the pot where we're slowly boiled and we don't notice, as opposed to the frog that goes in and it's already hot, right? If you slowly turn the heat up, you know, the analogy is, of course, you don't lose freedom all at once. It's a slow incremental process. We're watching that as we speak, literally, where people can threaten cops to their face with death and nothing happens to them. Where if you park your truck in downtown Quebec to protest, then the government's going to starve you out, right? The government's going to debank you, starve you out. Understand what we're up against with this threat to a free society, a free society. I don't care what you stand for, A, B, X, Y. You can't threaten physical harm to somebody, but if you have a particular political position on tax rates or whatever, I don't care what that is. You should have the right to say that, but you can't physically threaten someone's imminent harm. And when the government does nothing to prosecute people who do that, they are sending a signal that some people are more equal than others, right? That's exactly what they're sending. And that's an incredibly dangerous precedent. We have to be aware of the axis of evil, really, that is being combined here between the far left, who's a larger political point to be made, the central digital currency proponents like Elizabeth Warren, who want all the control, and the Palestinians. Those three things coming together that are tremendously threatening to a free, democratic, small d society, that the Western civilization concept that we have known for 2,000 something years and struggled to protect, because it is a tremendously fragile thing. By the way, over the weekend, the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party occurred here in Massachusetts. One of the greatest American events of all time in 1773. Let's end today's video on that note. I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, America's hometown. Have a great day. Bye-bye.